Hello everyone, my name is Myiesha and I'm a Sephora Beauty Director and I'm currently filming from home, and today's video will be all about foundation. I was deciding what foundation I would show you all, and then I got a box of Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez at my doorstep and I was like, it has to be this. I was playing with it, swatching it, and the texture was so beautiful. So I'm gonna show you how I use it on my oily skin. One of my favorite ingredients, whether I'm doing a very mattifying foundation or something more hydrating, from the INKEY list, this is the Niacinamide Oil Control Serum. As the name implies, it helps to control oil. Niacinamide is also really great at reducing redness or just any inflammation that you may get. So if I get a little bit too crazy with my exfoliation, this is helpful to sort of calm that down. If you have rosacea, niacinamide is very helpful too. And it's also a natural way to fight blemishes, so it just kind of all around is a really great ingredient for me. I use it to prep during the day underneath foundation, and then at night I use it with my retinol reform serum because niacinamide plays very nicely with other ingredients. The timing lined up for me to try the new Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation, and there's 48 shades and they're all broken down into neutral, cool, and warm undertones. And I'm very yellow, especially because I haven't really been outside very much, so my yellow tones are really strong right now. So I prefer something very neutral to warm, not leaning over into the orange category. So I think I'm a 320. I think that will work. So you have to shake this foundation because the pigments are suspended. And the texture of it is really nice. It almost feels like it has a little bit of a dry oil in it, which I really, really like. It just made my skin look really glowy and very healthy. So I'm gonna show you some ways that I like to use a hydrating foundation in ways that still make my skin look nice and I don't get too shiny. So I'm gonna dust a little bit of MERCIER Translucent Loose Setting Powder on my face. And I feel like this gives the foundation a little bit of grip. I do this pretty much with all my foundations and kind of like sets it underneath. You can use the doe foot applicator to apply straight on. I'm using the shade 320W. I would say if you're using a foundation that's very matte and sets really quickly, I wouldn't sort of, paint it on like this and then blend it, because it'll set before you can actually blend it. This foundation just kind of moves with your skin, so it's totally okay. So the brush I'm gonna use is the Pro Blush Brush number 99 from Sephora collection. It's a blush brush, but it's really fluffy. I really like it for foundation. So that's what I'm gonna use. And I'm gonna put a thin layer of this on first and then decide if I need more coverage. This first layer is just all about buffing it into the skin, making sure it looks really seamless, and then we can build our coverage where we need to. And I'm being kind of delicate around my brows because normally I don't do my eye makeup before foundation. Now what I'm gonna do is put it on the back of my hand so I have a little bit more control with where I put it. Taking that brush, working it into the brush, and my areas of concern, I'm just tapping it on. So just tap, 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 and that's how you'll build coverage. If you're just kind of applying like this, it's gonna buff into the skin and it won't build as much. It'll just become this layer of beautiful sort of radiance. So I started getting into hydrating foundations this summer because I was doing a lot of peels since I was at home, and sometimes you can do too many peels and your skin gets really dehydrated. So for some days when I was on camera or I had media things to do with editors, I just needed a hydrating foundation. And then Rare Beauty came out and I was like, ooh, another hydrating foundation to play with. And so far so good. I really, really like this. That's looking really nice. And if you are ever applying a hydrating foundation and maybe you have oily skin and you really like the coverage, you really like how healthy it looks, but maybe there's a little bit too much moisture or radiance that's coming through, what you can do is take a clean brush. You can use the same brush if you want, if it's the same style brush. I like a clean brush that this is the Makeup Match brush, the blush brush. I don't know what it is with me and using blush brushes to apply foundation, but I find the shape and the size is really good. So this is the Makeup Match brush, and these are both synthetic. We redid all our brushes. They're all synthetic vegan brushes, but this fiber kind of behaves like a natural brush, and natural brushes tend to soak up a little bit of moisture. So on areas where you get a little shiny, you can tap a natural fiber brush, or one that acts just like a natural fiber brush. That's why I like this one. Just tap it in those areas and it'll help sort of wick away a little bit of excess moisture. I want that moisture here because I get really dry, but maybe right in that center area or by my nose where I get oily, maybe I don't want excess moisture. So it's almost like a blotting sheet, but a natural fiber brush, or one that behaves like a natural fiber brush, which is what we designed the makeup match brushes to do. It'll lift up moisture where I don't need it, but keep the pigment where I want it. And I thought this would be helpful for those of you who have oily skin and heard that it was a natural finish and it gave this really beautiful radiance, and you were kind of worried about if it would be too much moisture for you, but I'm really digging it. Now is concealer time. Like I said, I really like this foundation, and my intention was to use a concealer to cover my blemishes, but my blemishes are covered, so we're gonna skip that. So this is from Makeup Forever. This is the Matte Velvet Skin High Coverage Multi-Use Concealer, and the shade I'm gonna use under my eye is 3.6. I originally also put 4.3 for my little blemish problems, but like I said, we don't need it because the foundation covered that, so we're gonna put that to the side. And normally under my eyes, I tend to apply a foundation in a lighter color in lieu of a concealer because I have the coverage I need. I just want that brightening effect, but I'm gonna spoil myself and look a little extra snatch by using a really great concealer. So this is a doe foot applicator, kind of like the Rare Beauty foundation. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit right here, a little bit right here. I'm wanting to create like this triangle effect under the eye. Okay, and I'll do my nose and whatnot after I get this all blended. So for my applicator, I'm gonna use my favorite little sponge. This is from the Makeup Eraser. This is the sponge, and the main feature of this is you can throw it in the washing machine to clean it like crazy, but I find that it cleans really easily. So it has a bunch of different sides, a flat side, a curvy side, and a flat side. If I apply foundation, I use a flat side, but for under eye, I use this curvy side. And what I like about it is it's really squishy. It fits the curvature of your face. It gets on all those little areas. And I know you all are gonna ask, but I'm wearing the Patrick Star One Size Visionary palette, the green row, that matcha and olive color, with a little bit of Urban Decay eyeliner and Covet. And for a little dimension, in the center of the forehead and down the nose, a little on the chin. Okay, so that's the concealer. It's self-setting, so no need for powder. I think this would be really great for someone who doesn't like putting powder under their eyes. I move a lot and sweat a lot, so I'm gonna put a little bit of powder there just to set in the little areas that move and the little creases, but this looks really good. It looks really bright, and it kind of makes my eye look very finished. So the same powder that I used in the beginning to sort of as my primer, so Laura Mercier, a loose setting powder. This is just the regular color. So I'm just gonna apply this with a contour brush. It's very small, kind of fits in this area, so I find that it makes everything nice and transfer proof if you're oily. Once my oils come through, that radiance of the foundation that was originally there will come back. So we're just putting this everywhere that we applied the concealer. Center of the forehead, down the nose, and down the center of the face. I'm evened out. I have my highlight in the middle of my face. There's still some excess powder there. I'm gonna brush that away in a second, so don't worry about that. I'm going to use my bronzer. So this is from Sephora collection. This is the matte bronzer powder. This is number 4, Almafi. I'm gonna take the angled blush brush, the number 93. And you don't need much, because these are, I love how pigmented these are. So you could use a radiant bronzer if you want to, but the foundation's already kind of nice and radiant on its own on me. I find that even though it's a natural finish foundation for sure, natural finish foundations on very oily skin kind of are like this natural radiant hybrid. So I'm keeping a lot of the other stuff kind of matte just to balance it out a little bit. So I like to apply my bronzer and just slap it on there. And I'll blend it in a second, but just kind of get it on there. You always want to drag from your ear back and up, and then when the brush is sort of like out of bronzer, then I kind of hit the side of my nose. I'm almost like creating a W across my face. So just putting it there. Here. You don't want to put too much bronzer on your nose because it can look a little distracting, but you don't want the center of your face to be super bright and then bronzer just to rim your face because it's gonna create this imbalance. Kind of hit the temples. Basically, I kind of fill this area up with bronzer because it'll make your highlight area come forward a little bit more. Okay, a little bit on the chin, just for balance. This way, pop a little on the eyes, just to make everything cohesive. I have everything on. My bronzer's not all that blended, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm gonna address that with my next product. So this is the MERCIER Candleglow Sheer Perfecting Powder. It's a super sheer powder, as the name implies. It just gives your skin this like beautiful glow, and it just kind of melts everything together. If you've ever applied your foundation and you just feel like the blend is, you know, not where you want it to be, you want that seamless bronzer to highlight transition, try using this. It's really pretty on its own too. And just fully just blend this over everything you did. The little layers will just like blend together and it'll just look really, really nice. And this foundation's holding up very, very well. It's definitely more matte because of what I'm doing to it, but if you're oily, you know that that sweet spot with your foundation is really like an hour in when everything melts together and the body heat kind of makes the foundation its true texture. So I'm gonna apply some blush. I love blush. I feel like I've been using more blush because when you're video chatting with someone, I found that the key to video chat makeup is lots of blush. I don't know why, but lots of blush looks really good. So I've been using the Patrick Ta blush, and this is the Major Beauty Headlines Double Take Cream and Powder Blush. So I feel like you've definitely seen this if you've been watching our channel. I've been using it quite a bit, but it has cream and powder. So you can use it either way. I usually like to apply the cream first and then the powder. Patrick's favorite way to do it is the powder and then the cream. Whichever one you apply last is gonna be the dominating texture. So I want the dew of this foundation to really come through. So I'm gonna apply the powder first and then the cream because again, cream last, that's gonna be the dominating texture. So this is the number 96 brush, blush brush. And really, if you want to, what I usually do is just use the same brush over and over again and wipe it off. I just want to be a little quick today, so I'm just using different brushes. But that's really pretty. And the shade I'm using is She's That Girl. This is the peachy pink shade. I tend to gravitate towards peachy pink colors. If you have darker skin than me, they have a beautiful burgundy one. And then if you want that sort of like sienna colored monochromatic look, there's a brown one that's really pretty. But I've just been really obsessed with this one. So, and my trick for getting blush to not look like baby doll cheeks is to take your tool that you applied any foundation complexion with, sponge, brush, whatever, and just tap right over it. And the little remnants of complexion color or concealer will just kind of add this little veil over it and it'll look like it's just kind of coming from within. I finished my complexion. I'm gonna throw on a lip and just touch up anything I might have messed up and I'll be right back. So there you go. I'm really enjoying this foundation. I think it's definitely gonna be in my top 10 rotation. I love how it's just sitting on my skin so nicely. It feels super, super light. The name is key. That weightless touch is definitely there. My skin looks radiant, but I know it's gonna be long lasting because I have a long day of shooting ahead of me. So definitely check it out if you have oily skin or any skin type really. If you are super excited about the Rare Beauty launch, go ahead and leave some love below. We love hearing from you. And of course, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our content, and I'll see you next time. Bye.